Hi there, students. So I'm going to be offering you some inspiration regarding um, your Blue Jay project, your triangle project. So I'm sorry I'm out today. Sam has strep throat again, so we are at home. So here's what we're going to be talking about. I want to help those of you um, who perhaps are a little bit stuck get going, or for those of you who are okay, just double check your work. So let's take a look at this point class here. Now we've talked about this one, and we're thinking about we're outside of a triangle. A point is just an XY position. So you should have these things: a nice default constructor, a nice initialization structure, two get methods, and then a toString which prints out data about that particular point. So again, outside of thinking anything about the triangle, this is what a point is. And so this point could be used in a rectangle or a quadrilateral or anything like that. So we're all good. Sam, no more water, buddy. All right, so then we think about the line segment. And we've talked about how a line segment is really defined by 2 points. We have point P1 and a point P2. Our default constructor for the line segment can look like this. So we're just creating an empty or a default point at both locations. Now we know from our default constructor that's going to be at 0, 0, so our line segment will be from 0, 0 to 0, 0. Again, this is just default behavior, so we don't care that much about it. So here's our constructor. So if we're passing in point values, we could do like this, set them up like that. We could even have one more constructor, depending on what we want to do here or how we want to use it to increase flexibility for our user. You can always include more constructors. That's not, an issue there. So if we pass in points, you can create the point here using the X and Y values passed in. I should say if you're passing in integers instead of passing in points, you can do this behavior. Again, it gets you at the same location, whereas the line segment is defined by 2 point objects. We have our get functions there, and then we have our toString, which just says something about the line segment is from P1 to P2. Again, remembering that because we're doing this here, this is by default calling the toString of the point. So it's going to come into here and print out the parentheses X comma Y in the same way that we see the points being made. All right, so there's our line segment. Now we're up to triangle. And this is where we want to define things. So we're going to say we have our line segments, P1 to P2, P2 to P3, P3 to P1, back around to P1. Again, keeping it so that the line segment could be used in a quadrilateral or a hexagon or things like that. We use default behavior here. Again, this is going to be a triangle all around the point 0, 0. By default, and I have 2 constructors. So here I'm saying, well, if I want to pass in 6 integer values, I could create my line segments here by creating points right here, using that constructor for the line segment. Or I can pass in point objects and create line segments out of those. Again, more constructors creates greater flexibility for our users. And then we just get the line segments here. And then I can have a nice toString here, and I can say the triangle is made of line segments. And then I can do plus P1, P1, P2. So I'm going to be calling the constructor for that line segment. Again, that's going to give you some information. And then put a little space here, plus P2, P2, P3, and then a little space here, plus space, plus P3, P1. Okay. So now I didn't do area or perimeter or our length one yet, but somewhere I forgot something. Space. Oh, there. So I haven't done any of that good business yet, but if I run it, let's see what happens. Oh, nothing happens. That's lame. How come? Well, let's look at our drawing triangle app, or our drawing triangle class. Well, we got to do some modifications. So here, I'm just using the default constructor. So that, of course, is calling into the default constructor for all of my things, and all I've got is something, a quote-unquote triangle around 0, 0. So heavens above, let's fix this up. You could just uncomment it and use this as your particular thing, but I think I'm going to feel a little bit bold, and I'm going to make my own triangle. I'm going to go from 2060. I'm going to live up to like maybe 120, and even like, I don't know, 250. And then let's uncomment this, okay? Uncomment this business here. Sam, not too much splashing. Sam's going to get wild in the tub between you and me here. All right. Oops. Oh, heck, that's not going to help us out. This is a complete wrong set of stuff. Where's our thing for the... Oh, I lost my thing. There it is. Okay. Let's compile this now. And now, if we come in and run main, there's a beautiful triangle. Look at that. And then look at our print statements here. The triangle is made up of line segments from blah, blah, blah to blah, 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 the line, blah, 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 blah. Maybe you want to improve the grammar on that, or maybe you don't, okay? But there it is. There's our fancy pants triangle. Okay, and we've got our data about the line segment. But our area perimeter. Not much going on there, is there? Well, we need to fix that. So the first thing we want to do, is not look at that. First thing we want to do is let's tackle a length method in the line segment. So we're going to tackle length, public double length. Now I don't have to pass parameters in. Remember, my line segment's already got all the good business in it that it needs. So I'm going to say int, I'm going to use some variables in here, because I want to make it a little bit clearer for you what we're doing. Now you could have one big like mess line of code doing this sort of business here, where you're not like using intermediate variables, as these will be called. You're just using the function calls in line. But let's not overdo ourselves here. So then I'm going to call xdiff, and that's going to be x1 minus x2, and ydiff is going to be y1 minus y2. Now you could be puzzled like, what are you doing here? So we got to remember the distance formula between 2 points. I know, mathematics. It's going to be the square root of xdiff squared. We use our caret there, plus ydiff squared. Okay, so I don't really care right here. I'm not going to care if it's positive or negative, because I'm going to square the value, and we all know what that does for us, right? Good. Okay, so now I'm getting a bit stiff sitting on the floor here. So now we're going to take a look at I'm just going to make my life easy. So I'm just going to return, math that square root, and I'm going to say xdiff star xdiff plus ydiff star. Like that. That's it. Okay. So now that's going to give me the length between 2 points, and it's going to be a double because square root is a double. Even though these are all integers, square root always returns a double for us. Now we could typecast it to an int, but that's not going to be as accurate. So blah, blah, blah. Okay. So now we've got that. And now in our triangle, we can say, our perimeter is going to be the sum of the lengths. So p1.p2 length plus p2, p3 length plus p3, p1 dot length. Okay, so, and I'll even get fancy there, and I'll say plus with a length of plus, we'll call the length function right here. Now let's compile all this good stuff up. Hit compile there. Oh, I don't want you postfix evaluator. compile. Now let's see what we got. Oopsie, I didn't hit the right thing. Why do you keep coming up there? All right. Main, nice, beautiful. And now, if we look at our printout, I see my perimeter right here is pretty long-winded. I've got my lengths of my segments right over here. Oh, well, that looks all jolly, doesn't it? Okay. So now what you need to think about is, well, how can I do the area? I know the lengths of each side. How about the area? Well, this is where you're going to need to do a bit of research here. You're going to have to look up Heron's law, I believe. Heron's formula, the area of a triangle whose lengths are A, B, C. Heron's formula right there, where S is A plus B plus C divided by 2, and there's your formula. Aha, now you've got all that information. You can calculate S, you know A, B, and C, and so voila, you can calculate the area of the triangle and put that very nice method inside of, or that very nice equation in here. And that should bring it home for this triangle class. Again, my apologies for being out today. Sam was really quite sick when he got home from school yesterday. My husband is unable to take a day off today, so duty calls. All right, I think you guys will be okay. Please email me if you have questions, and we can talk on Tuesday. Enjoy your long weekend, guys.